So you've got an idea, a vision maybe, but how are you going to bring that aspiration to life? What's your plan? This episode's all about how to plan like a pro. So let's get started. Hi, this is Simon Phillips. Come for the inspiration and stay for the insights. Sounds like a plan. Anyway, today is all about planning like a pro. Taking your vision, your aspiration and bringing it to life. That's what today's all about. But let me just go back a few steps. Can I just check, is your vision really clear? Do you know exactly what you want to achieve, by when, and what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like? I want you to get really intimate with your aspiration. What are you going to feel like once it's happened? How are you going to feel when you've put all that effort in and suddenly your vision has come to life? If you haven't got that, that's where you start. Make sure you've got absolute clarity on your vision. Okay, where do we go from there? We've got a clear aspiration. We know exactly what it is we're trying to achieve. Well, now we're just going to check in with ourselves and make sure that we're motivated to do it. Is your heart really in it? Because if it isn't, your plan's not even going to get off the ground. So be really crystal clear on your motivation. You want to know why. You want to know how it's going to make you feel. You want to know who it's going to benefit. You want to know every single little detail so that you can get excited about it. If you're not excited, then nothing's happening. And we all know that's clear in every walk of life. So that's your next step. Get clear on your motivation. Okay, the next step, once we're clear that we're really motivated to do this, is we need to assess our skill level. Are we able to do it? I mean, if this is, I'm going to send a rocket to the moon and I have a very clear goal, it's going to happen by the end of the year, but I have no idea how to build a rocket, then actually it isn't going to happen. So what's your skill level for this activity that you want to put in place? That's the next thing to consider. So sit down and rate your skill level and rate how hard it's going to be to acquire that skill. Is it something that's going to take a long time? Is it something you can do quickly? Is it something that's always going to elude you and therefore you need to bring somebody else in who's an expert in that space to help? Because once you're clear on that, that can go in your plan. Okay, we're clear on our motivation. We're clear on our skill level. Can we actually do it? We know those two things are absolutely rock solid. So let's jump into the planning activity itself. Now, my favourite definition of a goal is a dream with a date on it. What's your vision? What's your aspiration? Let's just put a date on it. And at this stage, you're not going to know everything you need to know to be absolutely 100% certain that you're choosing the right date. However, still put a date on it because it will drive early activity. It will get you excited about something. It'll give you something to talk about. And that's going to be the most essential things that you can do, if you like, to get this moving. So once we've got that date, we start to plot in the relevant milestones along the way. And a milestone is simply that step in the process that gives you confidence that you're going in the right direction. So if I've got a plan, if I'm putting a plan together to achieve something in 5 years' time, I want to know, what are the key milestones? Let's say in 2 years' time, how am I going to know I'm on track? That's what a milestone is. You know you're on track. You can gauge the length of the journey ahead. You can celebrate everything that's gone so far. And you get absolutely clear, either for you or for you and your team, as to where you're going. And of course, as we come nearer to the start date, we can start planning what are the actual steps we're going to take. Don't plan every step out to the 5-year future because you don't know what's going to change between now and then. Right now, all you know is what you can do today. So we want to bring those steps back to what's the very first action I can take on this plan. But don't stop there. There's one more thing we need to do, and that's assess our plan and carefully assess What are the risks? What are the things that could potentially get in the way? How could I get in the way of myself? How can I work with the people around me to ensure that they get buy-in to what they're doing and everybody feels like this is their project? Those sorts of questions are going through my mind as I'm putting this plan together. So what are the risks? And once I've got those risks, what are the contingencies I'm going to put in place to ensure that those risks don't derail us? Now, you can't plan for every risk. I can assure you, you won't even imagine some of the things that can come at you once you start on your journey. But what you can do is be realistic. You can think about things that you've done in the past, what got in the way previously. Usually, here's a top tip for you, usually it's other people and their aspirations or their thinking, and if that's counter to what you're trying to achieve, those are the sorts of things that can get in the way mostly. So what's your plan to get around that? What's your contingency? That's the next thing to think about before you can get started with your plan. Now, I always say when we're talking about planning at this level, the hardest thing is to get started. Most of us know, for example, that we might want to be healthier. Most of us know that there's a skill or a hobby we'd like to spend more time doing. But actually getting started can be really difficult. Probably because, as I said in last week's episodes, we tend to overthink things. It could also be because we haven't really thought through the scale of the challenge that we're taking on, or we haven't actually spent time assessing our motivation. Do I really want to do this? But if I really want to do it, I know that I've got the required skills to either do it myself or bring people in to make it happen. The best thing to do is break it down into the smallest tiny increment and think about what's your trigger. There are going to be days when your motivation is fluctuating. There are going to be days when you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do the next mundane activity that's all part of bringing a plan to life. So what's your trigger? What's going to get you going? Find something really, really simple. What are the simple things that you can do that will trigger you to keep going and take the next step? Once you've started, of course, then you benefit from momentum. And momentum is so brilliant. Once you start and you get a sense of putting the next step forward is easy, and getting people around you becomes easier. That momentum is addictive for everybody involved, and you'll see an acceleration towards your end point. Now, as you achieve those key milestones, and definitely at the end, make sure you're thinking about how are we doing? Review your progress. Check in. How are we doing against our milestones? How are we doing against those risks and contingencies that we anticipated? What's actually working? Are there opportunities to speed things up? Are there opportunities to slow certain aspects down to ensure you're making good, solid progress? There's lots of things to keep thinking about as you move forward. The best laid plans don't always turn out exactly as they appear on paper. Invariably, life gets in the way. So make sure you're reviewing and assessing, is this still something I really want to do? Have I still got the required skills, either myself or within my team, to make it happen? This is what reviewing's all about. And then once you've got there, make sure you celebrate, and celebrate again every step of the way. That's what keeps the momentum going. That's what keeps you and the people around you motivated. Make sure you're celebrating. Now, that doesn't have to be outlandish. It doesn't have to be anything that's, immense, that takes a lot of planning in itself. It could literally be a proverbial pat on the back because you've kept your plan and you've kept going. So that's it. There's no more to it. If you want to plan like a pro, make sure your heart is in it. Make sure you understand what skills are required to make it happen. Get started, one step at a time. Okay, if you found that helpful, make sure you smash that like button. That's what gets more people here to hopefully benefit from some of these insights that I'm sharing. I'd love to see you back here again next week, so hit the subscribe button and I'll see you then.